By late 1950, my wife and I had come to the sad and reluctant conclusion that we were not going to have any children. There was nothing particularly wrong that anyone could find, but neither was anything happening. My wife, therefore, decided we might as well adjust our way of life to childlessness and prepared to take a greater role in my continuing to expand writing career. It seemed to us that efficiency might be increased if we worked as a team. I would dictate my stories and she would type them. I was a little dubious. It sounded great in theory, but I had never dictated a story. I was used to typing my stories and watching the sentences appear steadily, word by word. So I did not buy a dictating machine outright. I talked the salesman into letting me have it on 30-day approval. In the course of the next month, I dictated 3 stories into the machine, of which Hostess was one. It was a frightening experience that taught me a few things. For instance, I discovered that I participated in a story to a greater extent than I realized when my wife came to me with a little plastic record and said, "I can't type this." I listened to the passage she objected to, one in which 2 of my characters were quarreling with greater and greater vehemence. I found that as they grew more emotional, so did I, and when their quarrel reached its peak, I was making nothing more than incoherent sounds of rage. I had to dictate that part over again. Heavens, it never happens when I type. But it worked out well. When the stories were typed up, they sounded just like me, just as though I had typed them from the start. At least so it seemed to me. You can read Hostess and judge for yourself. Naturally, I was delighted. I looked up the salesman and told him I would buy the machine. I made out a check for the entire payment in a lump sum. Within a week, however, according to later calculations, we managed to get a child started. When the fact became unmistakable, we had a conversation in which my contribution consisted entirely of a frequently interjected, "You're kidding." Anyway, the dictating machine was never used again, though we still own it. 4 months after Hostess appeared, my son, David, was born. First appearance, Galaxy Science Fiction, May 1951.